Sorry for running a few minutes late. We had some tech issues per sometimes. I won't say per usual because those are getting less and less every day. But can you believe it's snowing in South Louisiana? That's kind of biblical. This is apparently the first blizzard in South Louisiana, perhaps on record. And I do think it's biblical because the symbolism behind a snowstorm is the judgment of the wicked and God cleansing the earth. That is biblical symbolism behind snow. So I think we should all take a lot of encouragement from that today. It feels very appropriate. And just a reminder to all of you that we are live streaming now on Rumble, YouTube, and X. On Rumble, look for us under TSOF Podcast. That's where you'll find us. And joining us today is a good friend of ours, Matt Meck. He's the founder of Unauthorized, which is an organization that supports constitutional candidates and citizen education. He's also been a hub in the wheel of a lot of election security work that's been happening at the state level, and he has his finger on the pulse of state Republican Party politics, which we know to be very, I don't know, dirty, busy, active. I'll let him fill in the blanks. And with him today, and they're both joining by phone, is his good friend 107, who you may know he's been on the show before when we had Tina Peters on. So, welcome to the show, both of you gentlemen. Before we get started, I will read the scripture of the day. It's First Timothy chapter 2, verses 1 through 4. And I hope I'm the first person you're hearing read this since the inauguration yesterday. It says, it's a lot easier to listen to it on this side of the inauguration. It says, most of all, I'm writing to encourage you to pray with gratitude to God. Pray for all men with all forms of prayers and requests as you intercede with intense passion. And pray for every political leader and representative so that we would be able to live tranquil, undisturbed lives as we worship the awe inspiring God with pure hearts. It's pleasing to our Savior God to pray for them. He longs for everyone to embrace his life and return to the full knowledge of the truth. And what a beautiful scripture for us to read in the wake of having our president back. And I have to say that prayer and prayer inspired action is what got us here. Prayer is what's going to continue to set this nation on the right track. I'm convinced that is the prayer of those who prayed so fervently for President Trump's safety all this time, that made sure that his life was spared in Butler, Pennsylvania, and so many other times that we don't even know about. And there is a beautiful group of intercessors called Intercessors for America that has been praying for the president and his cabinet and all of the staff and all of the people attending the inaugural events in DC. They started on the 19th at noon and they've prayed straight for 48 hours. They'll pray until noon Eastern time today. And I just think now's not a time for us, to relax. Now's the time for us to step our foot on the gas. We need to continue to pray for President Trump that God would that he would continue and he would finish what he started with President Trump. So anyway, with all of that said, Chris, how excited are you to be where
Oh,
we
um,
are today?
I'm absolutely thrilled to death. There's ecstasy in the air. And Danielle, you were so right. It's because we are interceding for each other with intense passion, as St. Paul said. It's such a powerful thing to know that fervent prayers of righteous people avail much, as St.
Yeah.
Paul also said. It's so powerful to know that we do have intercessory authority and intercessory power. And I agree with you 100%. That is exactly why Trump has remained safe and why he lived to be inaugurated yesterday. There's no question about it. He's
Yeah.
wrapped in the mantle of a lot of prayer. As you mentioned, Matt Meck and Juan oh 07, two great Americans, great guests. What a privilege to have you both with us today on the State of Freedom.
Hey, good to be here. Hey, Chris, thank you. Yeah, and that you're right, Daniel. Not only is he a friend, of course, he's Juan's chief of staff, and that's like trying to put lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, right.
You've called to organize the unorganizable, it sounds like.
Yes, you know, but
Matt, you're
it's
a
fun,
U.S.
and I
Marine.
tell you,
You're a U.S.
yeah,
Marine,
yeah,
Matt. I don't think there's any task that's beyond you.
no, no, but it's an honor and privilege to work for him and to see what he does behind the scenes is amazing. You know, we're out in the D.C. area. We have an event tonight where it's basically celebration of what the coalition did. You know, we've had Patrick Byrne will be here, Frank Gaffney, General Flynn, Garland Favorito, whole host of others from around the Republic will be here, about 60 in total. And then tomorrow, with same location with Mark Cook leading it, we'll have an election ecosystem reform strategy working group to keep the pedal to the metal and not forget that we won a battle, but the war still rages that we have to be vigilant on, certainly.
Yeah, very, very important reminder, Matt. Very important. The tendency is always in the wake of victory to begin to be lulled into a false sense of security. But our adversaries, I can assure you, are not letting up, and their pedal is to the metal, or metal to the pedal, whatever you want to say. Those folks, I promise you, are panic stricken at this moment. Many of them. And so we have to continue moving forward. What are your thoughts, Matt and Juan, generally on the inauguration? I was absolutely moved by so many parts of it. I was particularly moved on some level by the unhappy looks on the faces of a number of the Democrats who were sitting there, and the fact that they're unhappy on some level makes me happy. But what are your thoughts generally on the inauguration?
You know, I'll comment briefly and let Juan chime in here. Is that very happy? You know, Juan and I and a couple other folks were engaged in a lot of discussions before the inauguration because there were many threats that were potentially out there that we were concerned, you know, for President Trump's safety, to make sure there was no like decapitation event for the government, and just happy that it worked as it did. And you're right, watching it, you know, it was nice to see poetic justice occur. And I love the speeches and listening to when Trump spoke, it just reminded me of why I think folks resonate with him, irrespective of your gender, your party, anything, right? Your ethnicity. It's because he makes you feel like you're part of it. You're not just watching some elitist engage. You feel like you're in the room, and he's talking to the reporters. He's talking to not just the actual inauguration speech, but then he went down and met afterwards, down, you know, the one floor below where he was in the rotunda. You feel like he's talking to you, like you actually have a seat at the table.
Well, and let me just add this: 48 hours before the ceremony, all of those Democrats that you saw there, all of those past presidents had made it clear they weren't going to go to this ceremony. They were going to have nothing to do with it. And of course, 4 years ago, Trump did not concede the election, and he did not go to the swearing-in ceremony for Biden. So at some certain level, it seemed like that, you know, would hold. What happened? Why were they there? And think about what Trump said during that speech afterwards. They know what Trump's like, and he was going to set his agenda. They didn't want to be there because he was going to unwind everything that they'd done, but they were still there. What happened? I think behind the scenes, remember Trump had that little conversation at the Jimmy Carter funeral with Obama, and they were laughing. It was a tense laugh, but Trump told Obama he needed to meet with him. They needed to find a private place after the ceremony to meet for a minute or two. And there's been conversations going all the way along here. I believe that they got an offer they couldn't refuse. that Trump made sure that they knew their presence was required, and they weren't there happily. You got to think about everything that's happening, even over the last few hours. Trump is the master at art of the deal, and he is certainly using every tool in the book to orchestrate how things are going to go moving forward. Even for the world, this transition in government, all those people being present while Trump took the helm of the ship of state decisively from the pirates and had them on display, as he said that he was going to overturn everything, all the most holy things that they had put together in their wicked ways, right in front of them. And they couldn't leave. They stayed seated while the entire crowd stood and cheered on many of the things that Trump said. Why? Because he told them right to their face who they were, what they'd been up to. The people weren't in agreement with it, and he was going to overturn it and change it. I think that was a remarkable thing, and shows the strength of Trump coming into this, and that they couldn't even stay away when they wanted to. They had to be there on display for the world as he took control of the helm of the ship of state, and they couldn't do a thing to stop it. It's a stunning thing.
It is a stunning thing. I loved it so much. And as I watched it, Juan, all I could think of was that scripture in Psalm 23, you prepare a table for me in the presence of my enemies. I have never seen it more vividly come to life than when Trump is telling those crooks exactly who they are. Or telling the world who they are in front of them. It was so beautiful, and saying how he was going to reverse every single thing they had done that was destroying our country and laying the blame squarely at their feet. I absolutely loved it.
Hey, Danielle, if I could real quickly, I
Yeah.
wanted to comment. I know he's a fellow native Louisianan, Tommy Waller. I thought of him when Trump said, "In all the military who were forced out
That's right.
because of not taking the COVID, you're coming, you're back in if you want with back pay." And I'm sure the folks there in the audience know, Tommy now of course heads up the Center for Security Policy, but a retired. He was able to retire. He didn't want to. Lieutenant Colonel in the Marine Corps, Force Recon guy, and it was nice to see, certainly somebody we know personally, that justice is coming for those folks who were forced out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And
And by the way,
oh,
let me just add one thing to that.
Go ahead.
The other thing that Trump has done just in the last few hours, he's going to medically discharge all of the transgenders.
That's amazing.
Now, the idea there is that these are people that have emotional, mental issues, if you get right down to it, concerning their sexuality. And so in those extreme types of cases, you can't run the military with people in those type of conditions. They were allowed in. We're going to take care of them. They're going to be medically discharged so that it doesn't put a slight on them so they can't work or something like that. It's not like a dishonorable or something like that. And they'll be appropriately taken care of. But clearing the way, and then also by overturning everything related to the COVID, and also seeking prosecutions. Anyone that was involved in denial of rank or was opposed in any way unjustly, improperly, people will also legally within the military system, and these blockages in the system over the shot are going to be taken out. So what's going to happen is also our mission is going to be expanded because we have so many issues, border, getting these wars in various places under control, that rank is going to come much more readily for those people that do come in and rejoin. I think the recruitment centers are probably pretty busy today, and there's probably some confusion over exactly how it's going to work, but I guarantee you Trump's told them make it as smooth and fast and simple as possible. Get these people back. We need them right now. We need them yesterday. And in fact, during the course of the day yesterday, we had people associated with us that got their orders for things that they have to do immediately. So it's already on. And I think that's also an important thing. And I think the other thing is that we know that recruitment already of new recruits is up since the election. Many people want to serve. They know that something's coming, and they desire to get in there and be in the military and be part of what's about to happen across the world over the next, not just 4 years. We've set a tone, a direction that will go beyond the next 4 years, and I'm excited about that.
That's so exciting, and I couldn't agree with you more. The military members are there to serve. People sign up to serve their country. They're not the people that want to be DEI hires there are not serving the country, right? I mean, that's kind of baked into it. Anyway, that's my perspective. But just to switch gears a little bit, but staying in the same vein, Trump signed an executive order yesterday that I think you guys probably have a particular interest in as well. And it's got a long title. So it's holding former government officials accountable for election interference and improper disclosure of sensitive governmental information. And of course, this is tied to the Hunter Biden laptop cover up and the 50 intel agents or officers who signed that letter. 51. Why is there only 50 on the list?
Well, actually, the author of it is actually not counted, but he is supposed to be counted. It's 51.
Okay.
And so, and that's an interesting number because the real fight in part is over particular parts of this occult religion that's taking control of our country. And in that occult religion, 17 is a huge number. And from a Christian perspective, the 17th book of the Bible is Esther. And so it's the number of victory to God's people. Within the cults, 17 is the Osiris number. And it has a meaning for them also. So the entire city, Washington, D.C. is built around the phallic symbol of Osiris. And it's a big FU to the country. And the important thing for them within the occult, within their rituals, the maximum power of a spell amongst occultists and witchcraft like that is 3 times magnification. So you'll say the witch knocked 3 times, turned 3 times in the circle to increase the magnitude of the amplification of the spell, which has repercussions on them because a lot of the spells, they have to accept the blowback from it. And so when they increase the power of a spell, it also is with the understanding that it'll increase whatever karma payback they have to take for doing something. In 17, just like many of the other numbers, we see it displayed over and over and over again in our government. So what's the most secret, excuse me, I had something that, what's the most secret base in the country? Most powerful base in the country, Area 51. 3 times 17, 51. Why are the numbers so important? For example, 5 is the number of grace to God's people. So we see it all through the scriptures and the Bible code and things like that, and multiples of 5 in various things. 5 times 8 is 40. 40 days, 40 nights. And 8's the number of the new day. And so you see these things 5 times 8, the new day and grace, and the flood ended. So What's the occult side of 5? The occult side of 5 is death to enemies and defense. You'll see the goat's head in the 5-sided uh, piece of architecture. Death to enemies and defense. Why has the Pentagon got 5 sides on it? What does it do? Death to enemies and defense.
Wow.
They're running the country on the numbers, and you'll see it over and over and over in the architecture of the streets, the angles of the streets. A cult has taken control of the government of the United States, has been there for a very long time, hidden in plain sight. And this is part of the reason why it was even so important that Trump not say the oath outside, because where they say it outside, they do it at the foot of, facing the Washington Monument, which is a cult symbol. It's the penis of Osiris. The story, I've told it many times. So you're doing homage to their religion, their cult, their way.
Wow.
We will have nothing to do with that. And by doing it inside the building, you removed the power of their symbology on our event as a people.
Wow.
And there's many more things like that coming that protect us not just from a physical threat, but also a spiritual threat to own and destroy this movement of God's people. And remember, President Trump, he was he himself testified about the fact that he was saved by grace in the attack where the snipers shot just missed him by, it was an angel of God. He turned his head, and while the bullet was in flight, as it left the barrel of the gun, his head turned 1 more inch, and that made the bullet just barely graze his cheek, and it pierced his ear. And even the symbology there, the ear, God has his ear now, and he has talked about that he was saved for this work to make America great again, not so that America can lord its strength, not so that we can go out and pontificate over the world and own the world, if you will, but because once we're great again, then we can go out and help our neighbors, our friends, to get themselves up on their feet. Remember, 72 countries had their election stolen from them by this crew that stole the election 2020. And so we have to go back and help all 72 of those countries retake the helm of their ships of state and get back under control and not be under the thumb of these occultists that are stealing elections all over the world.
Ron, can I ask you on that real quick?
Yeah.
The 72,
yes.
Have they just been stolen by machines, or have they been stolen by color revolutions, or some combination of both of those?
It's a combination. It's a combination all of the above, and we will assist them. Cain says, "Oh, where's my brother?" I'm not his keeper. Well, no, but you are his brother. We are going to help those across the world in this situation as our brother's brother, not our brother's keeper. We're going to get control all across the world, and we are going to push back on those that have stolen the world, if you will. I mean, think of the number of countries. These are all the biggest countries in the world. One of the most important ones, South Korea, where they were, this whole thing is about a stolen election. And I talked with leadership over there last spring about this, and again this summer. And they have taken action. They've impeached the president, but he will look very good as these truths come out in America and across the world. We will retake the helm of ship of state for many countries, assist them, and be great partners with them as we rebuild the world. So, Matt, I know we're really tight on time, but any last thoughts you had there real quick before we head out?
Hey, Chris and Danielle, that's about it. We're gotta head into a meeting here. But what we'll do, I'll certainly give you I'll text you, give you an update on the the event we have tonight, the fellowship, and then the great strategy working group we will have tomorrow here as we take 2025 and double down our efforts to make sure now we retain our republic.
And we're going to have a cookie report for you also. I'm anticipating good cookies at both events. And the most important thing I want everybody to remember for the rest of this year and all the things that are coming, 2020, it's not over yet.
Hey, Juan, don't quit your day job.
Well, the dogs were howling when back at the house. We left there, but it's a little easier when they're not howling in my ear. I can stay on note on better.
You guys are both great Americans. And Matt, the next time we have a chance to talk, I want to ask you about Millie and whether or not he can still, even though he's been pardoned, whether or not he can still be subject to a military tribunal within the context of a court martial. And because he's an absolute disgrace. But I hope that y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you for all you do for our great country. And you're always welcome in Louisiana.
Hey, guys, thank you pretty much. We'll talk to you later.
Okay, have a great day. Thanks for coming, guys.
Okie dokie. All right now.
Bye.